With more on bias in tech and media, some conservatives said Facebook blocked their material in the news feed. Facebook invited numerous conservative thinkers and journalists to its headquarters in California. The executive director at the American Conservative Union is with me now, Dan Schneider. Dan, welcome back. As I will remind our viewers, you were invited to Facebook's meeting. You turned down the invitation. I want to talk about Facebook more, but first, what do you think about this report on Google?
Hey, Deirdre, thank you for having me again. Look, I think you have to have a law degree to parse Google's words. The question is Google biased? And that's not the answer Google provided. They said the system, an algorithm is not biased. But we know that Google itself is in the tank for Obama, has been in the tank for Obama, and is now in the tank for Hillary Clinton. And there's good reason for that. From their perspective, they want to pursue as liberal policies as possible across the spectrum.
So, Dan, when you say in the tank, are you referring to the fact that in Silicon Valley in general, more employees have donated personal money to Hillary Clinton's campaign than to any others?
Well, I can speak specifically about Google and Facebook. They both are pursuing policies here in Washington, D.C. that harm basic principles that conservatives stand by, things like property rights, things like religious freedom, freedom of expression. Google and Facebook have been attacking these sorts of policies here in Washington for a long time. At the American Conservative Union, where we stand for conservative policies and conservative philosophy, we've been sort of at loggerheads with Google to try to make sure that that Americans have their rights protected.
Okay, so Americans have their rights protected. We know that Google does spend a lot of time in D.C., a lot of money in D.C. The chairman, Eric Schmidt, is actually based there. So I am taking your point, and I think even last year it was the company that visited the White House the most, surpassing almost any other. I want to turn back to Facebook because someone came on our show and said that Facebook deleted her page after announcing it would curb online hate speech. Here's her comment.
They say they want to stop terrorists from, getting other people
recruiting,
onto their sort of what they want to do, and they want to stop hate speech. But what they mean about hate speech is people like me trying to, warn people about what I think is a totalitarian ideology, Islam. So I think it's very crazy that they seem to want to stop both of us.
So, Dan, she lives in Northern Europe, and as you know, Europe has been dealing with this migrant and humanitarian crisis. She posted a video basically out of concern for citizen safety there and says that Facebook essentially deleted that video. But is this censorship part of why you refuse to go to Facebook's headquarters?
Well, look, we've tried to work with Google and with Facebook to address the issues in a serious way, and frankly, neither of those companies is interested in talking to us about these policy issues. But in terms of the quote you just provided, we don't have to go to Europe to find instances where Facebook is discriminating against people based on their faith. If you're a priest or pastor or a nun, Facebook will not allow people to use their religious affiliations on their Facebook pages. The Pope, I don't think the Pope can have a Facebook page where he identifies himself as the Pope. These Facebook, of course, does allow people to identify other sort of particular characteristics about themselves, but not religious affiliation. And that's a real disturbing thing.
Dan, that's interesting. Maybe that's why the Pope has taken to Twitter at Pontiflex. Dan Schneider, thank you very much for the time. American Conservative Union Executive Director.